Musically Meditated.
Musically Meditated. Musically Meditated.
Welcome to Musically Meditated, episode 23. It's the lucky Michael Jordan number episode. What's up, Sreten?
How's it going?
I know you're a little sick tonight. Thanks for coming.
I feel good.
That's why I brought some clearly Canadian peach flavor. I haven't seen this shit since like 96.
It's done wonders for my cold.
It has, so far. So good. But we have a guest. He's my friend. His musical name is HP Sneakstep. He used to go by Michael Nicholas, but his real full name is Michael Schiralli. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Whatever happened to that Michael Nicholas name? I see you laughing. You got rid of it?
Evolution.
Yeah. And what's up with the HP Sneakstep name? What's the background on that?
The sneaks thing is a long story. I just worked it in that. It was a personal nickname that I worked into H.P. Lovecraft. I just kind of smashed the two together because I like H.P. Lovecraft.
That's cool. We used to call you Sneaky Pete too before the movie.
Yeah,
I just saw there's some movie out called that, or is it a show or something?
Yeah, a show, I think.
Show on Hulu.
What's that?
It's a show on Hulu. That was a fake cough.
Okay, show on
Haven't been
Hulu.
coughing yet.
Show on Hulu.
It's a pretty good show on Hulu. Pretty good nickname.
But yeah, Mike and I, we go back. We go way back. I met him probably 20 years ago, something like that. I mean, it's been a minute.
19 years ago.
19 to be exact. Damn, there we go. 19 years ago, through mutual friends.
1999.
1999, and you were the first person I ever met that was really into electronic music. But I do remember you were in bands and you play guitar and stuff, right? So you had some hard rock influences.
Oh, yeah.
What were some of your early favorite bands, that you were jamming back then, covering, listening to? What were you into?
See, Nirvana, Sabbath, Metallica, Rage, all that. Those guys taught me how to play guitar, basically.
Nice. And how about, like, your parents? I remember, like, from what I remember, I always remember your dad's bathroom. It had that tile in it that looked like Pink Floyd, The Wall. Like, he copied the cover of the album, which was really cool.
Sorta. It wasn't the Prism.
Okay.
It was inspired by, but it wasn't the same thing.
How about your mom? What was she into? Anything that influenced your musical taste when you were younger?
Similar stuff to my dad, but a little bit more feminine influence, I suppose. Stuff that was slightly less appealing to me, I suppose.
And you started composing your own electronic music probably back in 99, right? Or were you making mixes? And like, when did it start off? When did it jump off?
I don't think I had finished any tracks at that point in 99, but I think that was the first time I ever used any kind of electronic music making software or synthesizer, stuff like that.
What was some of the early software that you were using back then?
The first thing I used was something called Rebirth. Was like a self-contained little thing where I had emulations of 808, 909, and then two 303s, and then a couple of effects units. And then from there I moved to a program called Reason, which was made by the same company but more fully featured. And now I use Ableton Live for the most part.
Cool. What was the your big jump, though, like from being in garage bands, cover bands, like when you were a kid? What got you into electronic music? Was there a particular person? Was there, like somebody around you personally, or was there an artist, electronic artist? Like, what was it? What was the big jump off?
It wasn't either of those things, really. It was like I found out that I was able to basically do everything myself and control every element, not have to worry about other people's influences or reliability or stuff like that. I could just do whatever I want.
Cool. Was there like a friend that showed you like a certain artist or anything like that, or?
Not so much. I read up stuff in the very early days of the dial-up internet, did a little bit of research. Although, you know what, now that you bring it up, a Hobart guy that I met through the same channels, Kevin Fairbaugh, might have given me a pirated copy of one of these softwares at some point.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I used to have a pirated copy of Reason.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah?
fucked with it for a while, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was terrible at making beats.
I mean, it has a learning curve, too. It took me like a while of beating my head against the wall to do anything. And then once I crossed over a certain point, it was okay to an extent. And then you have plateaus. And
I got a bootleg, and then I was obsessed with getting as many samples as I could get my hands on. So I had like discs and discs of MP3s, and it just sat and collected dust.
yeah.
It was my excuse for never trying anything.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Like, I would collect VSTs, which would be virtual synthesizer dealies. Never really use them. Stuff like that, same deal.
Yeah, I remember Kevin Fairbaugh back in the day, too. He was like a DJ. Didn't he?
Yeah,
DJ?
yeah, but he makes tracks too.
He did make tracks?
Yeah, good ones too. I haven't talked to him for a while, but as of a couple of years ago, he was still making pretty banging techno tracks.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like actually, there's a mix on my SoundCloud that has a furball track in it, and it's called I-65.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I remember him growing up with him, and then I do recall he took Ricky and I to the Riviera to see Deftones, like right when White Pony came out. Of course, I got to mention the Deftones, but I remember he drove us. It was really cool. He was a cool dude. I haven't seen him in years, though.
Yeah,
but he's the one that turned you on to Reason, huh?
I think so.
Cool. I remember years ago, too, you were giving me Reason sessions. Do you remember that? And
Yeah, Was it Reason or Ableton?
It was Reason. I remember Ableton after that, too.
Oh, you mean a long time
ago. Very, very long time ago. Like, over 10 years or so. Like, it was a long time. But I couldn't really figure it out. I didn't have the patience. Like when you're making electronic music too, like what's the process, like the foundation? You start with the drum, you start with the rhythm, like for the listener, like to break it down. Like,
I guess it depends on why I'm starting it up that day. If I'm going in there with an idea already, or if I'm going in there just like a sandbox and playing around. If I have an idea, sometimes I like to work backwards too. Sometimes I'll get like an idea for a track name even, or like a concept or something, and then I'll try and recreate the concept or make a version of what the track title could be even.
Yeah. Do you remember back in the day too, when you were talking about the concept, remember, what was it? Drunken Menace, remember that song?
Oh, it's Dust Might Menace.
Dust Might Menace, yeah. It was a Wu-Tang. It was a Wu-Tang sample, wasn't it? From one of those old Wu-Tang movies,
well,
like those old B flicks.
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say it was Wu-Tang, but it was from an old martial arts flick. Yeah, that Drunken Menace. Say your prayers.
Yeah. It was good. How about like DJing stuff? Did you ever try matching beats on like old turntables? Did that like the old school, like back then?
Man, honestly, there was something I always wanted to do, but I never had, a set of decks,
It's so hard too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I would assume that it is, because like the times I would play on other people's, like, couldn't really do much with the few minutes I would have at it.
Back in the day too, you turned me on to electronic music, and there was an artist that really resonated with me back then, and it does to this day. And that's Aphex Twin. And how did you get into Aphex? Because you told me about him. Like, what was the thing that got you into him? How were you introduced to him?
I was introduced. There's a 9 Inch Nails remix album, Further Down the Spiral, that came out right after the Downward Spiral came out. So that would have been probably like 95 or something like that. And there was 2 bits of Aphex music on there. One of them was sort of a remix, but not really. And then another track on there that was not even a remix. It was just like a completely original composition. One of them seemed to use sounds that might have been used in a song from the album, but I didn't follow up though until a few years later. I heard him on some other kind of compilation or something, and then it blew my head apart because it was, fast paced. It was a lot more different style than what I heard of the 9 Inch Nails. Not that the 9 Inch Nails wasn't bad, but what I heard a couple years later when he started picking up the tempo and getting more computery with it, he just went nuts.
Do you know what kind of software he was using back then, or no?
Specifically, he was using trackers, which is a style of DAW, digital audio workstation. They work vertical as opposed to horizontal, like most music making programs. Renoise would be one of them. I know you have.
I had Renoise, yeah.
Yeah, familiarity with that. He would use trackers for the most part. Specifics, I don't know. He did a lot of stuff that was home coded to using Super Collider, C Sound, and other Max MSP, which are programming environments that you really have to start from scratch for the most part. He's very program minded though. He could do that stuff easy.
Yeah, he's insane. He's crazy. Because I remember when you first showed me that, I was like, how is he doing this? Like, my brain couldn't even like wrap my head around really what was going on. I mean, yes, the rhythm and whatnot, but I was like, how is he?
Yeah, that's life changing right there.
It is. And
for me, it was.
And you showed. I mean, I kind of remember the video. I Want Your Soul. What is that?
Oh, Come to Daddy.
Come to Daddy.
Yeah.
I remember that when we were younger because it just had some crazy parts in it that you'll never forget, like the screaming part of that demon thing or whatever it is in the alley.
Screaming at the old lady.
Yeah. That was huge, but
that song I think appealed the mainstream a lot too because it had a synthesizer and the main one kind of sounded like an electric guitar, like a metal distorted guitar, you know?
Yeah, with that little, is it like a bass, kind of like an overdrive bass intro?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it goes throughout the whole song. I mean, and, you know, it just appeals to a lot of people that maybe wouldn't listen to electronic music. And it had those hard break beats in it, you know, it just thrashes. It's kind of boring by Aphex standards, but...
Yeah, but it's catchy. Like, it's a good introduction track for Aphex Twin.
Yeah.
Come to Daddy it hits all levels, and then remember Dillinger Escape Plan covered that too, and it was super
Mike
badass.
Patton
With
singing.
Mike Patton.
Yeah.
That was a great cover.
That was a good EP.
It was a good EP. Calculating Infinity.
No,
Irony
is a Dead Scene, I think.
Yeah, my bad. But yeah, that was a badass cover. But I think the first thing that you showed me by Aphex back then was something off of Drugs, and I know you're in love with Drugs, and you have the vinyl, and I want that from you. You got to will that to me.
It's like the friggin' holy grail right there.
Because that wasn't there. There's not a lot of that out there, right? There was only so many pressings, and it was from such a long time ago too.
Yeah, it's probably due for a repress. They repressed just about all of his old stuff. Not all of it, but
not that.
No, not that.
Not that.
No, not that. It's four records. It's beautiful.
Because that was released in 2001, and he didn't release his next album, his actual Aphex Twin moniker, until what, 2014?
2014, yeah.
And a lot of that had to do with copyright and a possible divorce or something he was going through, right?
I don't know. I mean, that's what he kind of said on a message board. He released stuff as AFX on Reflex, the Analord stuff. You know,
it's the best. It's my favorite.
Oh man, that stuff is.
Let's dive into that a little bit.
Right.
Like the background of that. Everything used on that is analog equipment.
I mean, so he says, right?
So he says.
Yeah.
It's all analog drum machines, analog synthesizers, and then how many were released? 11 records of that, right?
Yes.
EPs technically.
I don't know. I mean,
two tracks on each side.
Some of them only had one track on each side. Some of them, only had 2 songs, but most of them had, at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's my favorite material by him.
I mean, I wish that I would have had a better internet connection around that period of time to where I would have I don't know. I wish I could have gotten all them when they came out with the binder.
You were telling me to. I remember I was buying a lot of eBay.
I mean, by the time I started buying them, they had already been out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I have
Kicking
5 of
myself
them. I have 5 of them out of the 11.
Okay.
So, and I've gone online to look for some more, and it's dime a dozen. I mean, not dime a dozen. It's very rare.
There's
and they're marked up high, very high.
There's a record store in Michigan owned and ran by Sound Murderer, who Todd Osborne. He was on Reflex, Aphex Twin's old record label that he ran, and he just posted online multiple copies of every Analord. We're gonna be there. It's only open a couple days a week. This record store also released limited edition Aphex single. It was a couple of the tracks that was on his SoundCloud that he released for free. A couple of the better ones.
Like the numbers, like when he did the numbers thing, when his name was just a bunch of numbers on SoundCloud.
Yeah, user number or whatever.
Yeah, he's definitely a character like that. Like I don't know if he's just trolling his own fan base or just trolling people.
You know what?
Troll
He used
people.
to troll us, but now he's gotten older and his edges have softened a little bit, and now he's just like super sweet and trolly in the sense that he has like a wry sense of humor or whatever. But no, he's nowhere near the troll he used to be. He'll give us little Easter eggs, I guess, but I don't know. I'm starting to hear myself talk about Richard D. James. I don't like the way I sound talking about him. So
Why? Because you're a total fanboy of him?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we're gonna have to send this to him. We're gonna forward this podcast right to Mr. Richard D. James.
You probably could. And that's what's crazy. He's made himself available to you could comment on his SoundCloud. He could maybe respond back. It's crazy.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's real cool.
And
he's been real forthcoming about the equipment and stuff he uses too. He isn't trying to keep it as mysterious like he used to.
Remember when he had that GX Solo one under the? Was that the Tuss?
GX1 Solo, yeah.
And there was only 2 of those made, correct?
No, there was like a handful of them, but there's only a couple that are still known to exist and still are operational.
And does he still have it? Because remember he put it on eBay.
So. Oh, I don't know if he put it on eBay after that.
Remember, it was a long time ago, but he had it on eBay for like $1 million or something, didn't he? Didn't he have like a
If so, I
spoof?
don't remember. That very well
Okay.
could be true, but if so, I don't remember.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. And then from what I remember too, the only other person that still had one was John Paul Jones from Zeppelin. I read somewhere.
I forgot. No, I think one of the people from one of the disco bands too. I don't know if it was. I forget what those guys are called. Those brothers. What is the disco guys? What are they called? I don't know.
I don't know. Disco sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of it's pretty good. If there was no disco, there'd be no house. If there was no house, there'd be no acid. If there was no acid, there'd be no reflex.
I never thought of it that way. You're going deep now.
Yeah.
You're going real deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as RDJ goes, or Aphex Twin, he's your huge influence. So you dug into his influences too, right?
Yeah.
And what are a couple of your faves? You know, some of his.
I mean, some of them ended up being similar anyway. I mean, just from where we grew up, right outside of Chicago, like when we were young, B96, which now displays your traditional computer program pop music. When I say computer program, I mean like the list of songs is programmed by a machine that is the record companies say, okay, let's see who we want to promote most this week. Anyhow, back in the day, they used to play all sorts of different kinds of music, including a lot of Chicago house. So I remember taping stuff off the radio, some good DJ sets from back in the day.
What about Drexcia? Wasn't that one of his big influences from Detroit?
Yes.
And what would
I didn't hear about them until later, though. I didn't hear about them until I was an adult. Yeah, Drexcia.
Because wasn't he releasing, didn't he release their stuff way after the fact on his record label, on Reflex?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? Like to own a record label than to release music by some of your biggest influences. That's pretty cool.
And what was the story on Drexcia? It was two dudes, wasn't it? Two dudes?
Yeah, James Stinson and Gerald Donald, two fellas from Detroit, kind of enshrouded themselves in mystery, performed. They kept their identities, hidden. They also kept like an underwater theme going with their music, talking about when the slave ships were coming across the Atlantic, how some of the pregnant slave mothers gave birth to these guild babies that formed a society underwater and whatnot.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't know that about Drexcia. That's pretty deep, dude. Damn, Drexcia.
Yep.
I just thought, didn't one of them turn into a crackhead too or something?
No.
Oh.
No.
What? No?
No, don't tarnish their name like that.
Okay, my bad.
No, but one of them did die, but it was, I believe, heart disease.
Is the one still putting out music or no?
Yes, as Doppler Effect. He released music. Gerald Donald has released music as Doppler Effect, ARPANET.
And what would you call Drexcia's music? Is that
I would say electro.
okay?
Hydro electro.
Hydro electro.
Yeah. I say hydro because of just the water theme, and I'm just.
There is like this
using
cool
myself.
like water Neptune, the planet Neptune flavor to them. Like if they're-
Neptune's Lair, classic.
That's
release,
right.
yeah,
That's right. That's
yeah.
probably why that's popping in
Yeah.
my head. Like there's something very watery about
Oh
them.
no!
And those analog
it's
sounds.
overt. The water is overt. I mean, they're all about that. Yeah.
And what year did that like Neptune's? What is it called? Neptune's Lair.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, probably like 80s though.
No, 90s.
Was it 90s?
Either late 90s or maybe even early 2000, but I'm thinking 90s.
What's
late
that
90s.
show? What's that show that you like? The old Detroit dance show. Those YouTube clips that you showed me.
Oh man, I don't remember what it was called.
Oh shit. Okay.
I mean, it's similar to Soul Train, but like way cooler.
Way cooler.
Way cooler.
And they play like old craft work
Yeah,
and
getting down.
getting down and dirty. But all right, sweet dude.
I have a question to interrupt your conversation.
Yes.
So I grew up, I did the same thing like you, but I'm a few years older than you guys. So my Fridays and Saturdays, if I was home, I had countless tapes. So I just get on B96 and press record. So I went through like the freestyle and then the house music. Everybody had a mix. But then in the let's see, was it like 97 and 98 when like electronic music started to sneak into movies, especially action movies like The Matrix, like Blade, like Replacement Killers. was a
Aphex
big
Twin
one
was
for
on the
me.
Blade soundtrack, by the way.
Yeah. So you would consider yourself an electronic music snob, right?
I guess.
Would you
so.
say?
I,
Or
and
whatever
I, and
that
I say
means.
that I say that like because I'm being honest, but it's like
Maybe that's a harsh word, but you would say
No,
you're a
it's-
connoisseur. That's
I
a better
guess.
word.
But I'm not. I mean, I'm pretty harsh about it too sometimes.
So my question is, have you ever seen Replacement Killers?
It rings a bell, but no, I don't think so.
It's Chow Yun-Fat's first movie in America. He was like a big John
Maybe a
Woo
long time ago,
dude. it had one of my favorite electronic songs, which I cannot remember the name of right now. I think by Crystal Method. I can't remember what it was. But when you heard these songs in these movies, did you dig them, or were you like, oh, this is one of their more mainstream songs? Did you appreciate that they were in it? Did you I don't know if you dig karate movies. I do. Or shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, no.
But like, what's your opinion of those movies? Like the fact that all that electronic music leaked in and it kind of went away, and now now it's all over the place. Like you never know what kind of music you're gonna get.
Yeah, it did kind of come in, then go away for a little while, and then now it's.
You ever see the movie Hannah?
No.
That's about 6 or 7 years old. That's all. Once we get internet, I'll tell you but it's all electronic all the way. It's almost like one long track, the whole movie.
Okay.
And there's a couple single track shots. The soundtrack to that one is really chill, but it's a movie about this little girl that's like programmed to be a killer.
Regarding your question, though, when I heard those songs, it really depended on usage. Sometimes they were used, and that's funny you asked it because, like, really, honestly, it was pretty cheesy sometimes. Sometimes it was pretty awesome. As far as the track you're talking about, I'm not sure. But, like, even The Matrix, which I love. I'm sorry, I'm not talking in the mic as good as I should be. I'm looking over there. But some of the music in The Matrix is used kind of cheesy, and that movie's a classic, especially in The Matrix 2. There's a part, like the part where it's like the underground rave scene in the earth. God, that's embarrassing.
Speaking of underground rave scenes, just real quick, and Drexia, remember in movies, Drexia is in RoboCop, the greatest movie of all time. Remember when he grabs the dude by the hair and pulls him across the dance floor?
Yes.
That's Drexia.
No.
No? Am I wrong?
Oh, yes.
Who is it?
Ministry.
That's Ministry.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Damn.
Man, I forget the name of that song. But yeah, that's Ministry.
That's Ministry?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Drexia.
Hey,
Maybe it's
all
the
right.
Detroit.
Hey, but Mystery Chicago. But yeah, that's another big influence.
Mystery. What?
Ministry is one
Ministry?
of my favorites,
Yeah.
Skinny Puppy.
Yeah, Skinny Puppy. Remember that was your nickname a lot. Or that was your nickname too back in the day.
This is your one friend. I don't remember. I think his name is Doug.
Doug. Skinny Puppy.
Yeah, because I had the sticker on my car.
They were more industrial though, weren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. What about like some other like Chicago, Midwest influences like in your music now? Because I know you liked Aphex, and then you searched his influences, like different acid. Was there any acid that you were like that influenced you? Like I know you like Luke Vibrat or anything else that you'd like to, shine on or.
Well, I mean you got the Chicago classic tracks, but then, it was interesting. Like I feel like a lot of the best acid tracks were done by people that took the sound and did more with it. I feel like a lot of the best of that happened in, the United Kingdom. A guy called Gerald, 808 State. They worked together to make some awesome acid. Yeah, Luke Vibrat, as you said, CFAX Acid Crew. Yeah, that's the good stuff right there.
It is the good stuff. It's just crazy to me, like something like that, like something that originates in the Midwest. I don't know, gets blown up across the pond. Like what? I wonder what. Why?
I don't know. The acid sound to me is undeniable. It just gets you wiggling to me. I don't know. I just the sound of that 303 wiggling. Just I don't know. It's good.
Do you wiggle when you dance or something?
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh, that brings up a story too. Do you remember when we went to go see Flashbulb, like at some random warehouse in Chicago years ago?
Yeah, it was like a fashion show.
It was a fashion show, and we showed up and drank like all the rum, and then I remember like I danced for a long time.
I remember irritating the Flashbulb because like that was right when the Tusk came out, and like I think he was irritated. I wasn't talking about him. I was like talking about the Tusk the whole time when I was talking to him.
Which is Aphex or Richard B. James.
Yeah. That's an Aphex pseudonym. But although it wasn't 100% at the time, even though you kind of knew, but you weren't 100%. And also playing at that gig was Charlie Cooper, I think his name is, of Telefon Tel Aviv, who killed himself not long after.
Yeah, we saw him before he decided to do that. Yeah, that was a cool random show.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
I don't even know how we even heard about that.
I don't know. And then I remember they had like a T-shirt press thing, like just some random art. Like you said, it was like a fashion deal. And I had a hoodie, and whoever that artist was, he had like what is it, a silk screen
Yeah, silk
print?
screen.
Yeah, and he just pressed that on the back of my hoodie. It was like a rib cage with gears and all.
Do you still have it?
No. I lost it in the struggle, bro. in that electronic struggle. But yeah, that was a good time. And you know what? That flashbulb, he's from Chicago. I liked Acid Wolf. That was really cool.
Yes.
But then
I don't know if he's from Chicago. I know he lived here for a really long time, but I don't know if he's from here. He might be. I know
what's his name again? Ben Jordan.
Yeah, Ben Jordan. I think he lives in Georgia now, though.
Well, remember he did that. He did something where he put a camera on a balloon and it would just take random pictures, and he let it go in Chicago, and then it finally fell in LaPorte. Did you know that happened?
Yes.
Like it was in the news.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes, that's funny. Yeah,
It
I
was super
totally forgot
random.
about that, but yeah.
I remember just like reading it in the
Yeah.
paper. I'm like, hey, I know that dude. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the dude Mike was annoying asking him about the tuss all night when we went there to go see him. Then we drank all of his rum. But yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a really good time. You drove, so thanks for driving. You didn't drink as much as I did, I don't think.
No. Probably not.
That's usually the
I
case.
wasn't. Yeah, it's usually.
Especially back then.
Yeah, especially back then. And back then I wasn't turned on to such amazing beers that we have now because they just wasn't like that then.
We drank wine a lot. Remember, we were wine snobs. But talking about different artists, you also turned me on to Venetian Snares.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Aaron Funk.
Oh yeah.
The Nut Job from Canada. I love him.
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg is a frozen shithole. That's one of his albums. Venetian
I
Snares.
was going to
is-
say, whoa, Joe.
Whoa, Joe. Easy on Winnipeg.
We got fans in Canada.
We got Winnipeg Jet fans, but how would you describe his music?
Complex for the most part. A lot of times chaotic, haunting, sometimes beautiful. I don't know.
Find
But,
Candace,
yeah.
remember?
Oh yeah, brutal.
That's a crazy video too.
I don't remember the video. It's been a long time. God, it's been a long time. We're getting old, Joe.
Nah, we're all right. But the Roz album's my favorite by him because he was the first dude that I ever heard incorporate classical music into electronic music.
Yeah, he did it pretty good.
He did the best.
Yeah.
Who did it better? Nobody did it better.
No,
than him.
I can't think of any.
And that was back when I was buying a lot of vinyl too. Remember, and I bought a bunch of V Snare stuff.
Yep.
And a lot of it was imported, like from Germany and wherever in Europe, and I still have it all. And I'm glad I bought a bunch of that back in the day, and I'm glad I bought a bunch of the Analord from
Yeah,
Aphex too.
yeah.
Those were great buys. Still have them.
Yeah.
But what's
that's
your
good.
what's your favorite Venetian Snares album? You got to say right now.
Can I give an EP?
Yeah,
Cubist Reggae.
that's recent too, isn't it?
Fairly. Maybe 2012.
Okay.
I think that's what dubstep should be, I guess.
Yeah, this is a good transition into the whole dubstep thing. Maybe you could help us out. But why is that what dubstep should be? And what the hell is dubstep? Help us out.
That's a couple things right there. I don't know. Dubstep, I guess, is an evolution of UK garage from the mid 2000s, maybe 2004. Dubstep, though, what we've come to know in American culture, I don't. It's a mutation, I guess. I associate dub music with deep basses, sparseness, silence, echoes. But dubstep in America is usually pretty noisy and mid-rangey and super busy. So,
But what's the difference, like with the Venetian Snares? Why is that?
I don't know. Like, okay,
What's your opinion?
when I say that, it's dub influenced, but it does have that Venetian snare stink to it. I mean, it's crazy, it's busy and chaotic, but it still has the deepness, the sparseness, while still being busy. I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
Like a good rhythm, a dubstep rhythm in the background, like a solid foundation, but then with his crazy, chaotic.
Well, dubstep maybe
glitchy.
not in the traditional sense. No, that's why I'm saying like this is what I would have done. But like, okay, if we're talking about actual dubstep, what I would, it would be not Venetian snares. I mean, only because it's not Venetian snares. This isn't repetitious enough. You got to have more repetition.
I remember Box Cutter. Wasn't that dubstep?
I guess that was a mutation of dubstep. It was definitely dubstep influence.
In the beginning, because that's the first time I ever heard those kind of, I don't want to say Skrillex bass drops, but he was doing that back then.
Sort of. I would say that Box Cutter was way less gaudy sounding, I guess. Not as flashy and show-offy.
Are you a fan of the Skrillex type of EDM? Like, what's going on with that? I mean, I think it has its place in commercial America. Like, it's...
I mean, there's times where, it could be... when you say EDM, I mean, what do you mean specifically, I guess?
I don't know. Like, I'm thinking commercial, like I said, like Skrillex, Zed's Dead. Have you ever heard of Zed's Dead?
Yeah.
stuff like that, like stuff that's going to be at these festivals coming up, out in the woods somewhere, and everybody's banging their head and I don't know, wearing bandanas on their face for some freaking reason. What's that all about?
Dust, man. You gotta prevent.
Oh, you
dust.
gotta keep
don't wanna,
that
You
dust
don't want to
down?
get the wook flu.
What? Okay, what's a wook? By the way, what is
What's
that?
a wook?
What's a wook? What's a wook? A wook. Is that like a hippie, like a dirty hippie,
I guess so. I guess so.
like a dirty electronic
No, I
EDM
mean,
hippie?
No, I mean, you could be a wook and not like EDM, and you could like EDM and not be a wook. But I guess.
But what is a wook? Give me a stereotypical wook.
I guess not just a hippie, but
Someone that
someone
sells
that
you
extremely lacks consideration in their existence. I guess as far
Hygiene?
as hygiene.
They don't believe in deodorant.
I mean,
Personal space?
oh, brother.
They sell bath salts and call it Molly.
Hey, that's something that a wook would do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not a complimentary term.
Generally speaking, no.
I'll know if somebody calls me one.
Damn wook.
I'll know to be mad.
But yeah, I just stumbled across that term as of late. So Mike, it was a few years ago. I don't remember exactly what year, but you did music to a movie or to a soundtrack, correct?
Yeah, I did the score to a film, Coyote, it's called.
And how'd that come about?
Well, when I lived in St. Louis, I was at a head shop to buy rolling papers. I went all over the city to look for rolling papers. And,
What kind did you get?
I don't know what I ended up getting, but I was in there
Easy Wider?
and this guy complimented me on a T-shirt I was wearing. I think I don't remember what T-shirt I was wearing at the time, but it started a conversation with him and his wife. He found out that I made music. He became a fan of my music, and then we became friends online. Talked whatever, and then a couple of years later, he tapped my skill, I guess, to do the music for a short film of his, and then a year later we did Coyote, the feature, starring Bill Oberst Jr. as Bill, with one of the craziest performances, I mean, he's amazing in that movie. Amazing.
I remember the fire scene of the dollhouse.
Yeah. Oh, and Crabs in the Dollhouse.
The crabs in the dollhouse.
Yeah, that's a short film. That was the short film that we worked on together.
Okay, so that was before Coyote?
Yeah, that was before Coyote.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Coyote is about the writer who is an insomniac and is losing touch with reality, I guess you could say, and gets violent. Yeah, some of my better work, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. And that was during the time, too, you had your own label.
Yeah.
And what was that label called?
Caracasa Music.
How was that whole experience? Like finding artists, putting it out there. Like, how was it?
Fun. Thankless, but fun. But the whole experience, I mean, you can't really do that and work at the same time. I feel like it's really hard to just. I mean, you can, but I had a hard time juggling it with once. It was a lot easier to do when I wasn't working full time.
How many artists were on the label? Like, what was the most at one time?
Oh gosh, I don't remember how many we had. We had releases by probably 20 different people, I'd say. Mitch Murder's first release was with us. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of really good stuff, and made connections with people that will probably last a lifetime.
You still talk to a lot of them, too?
Yeah.
A lot of those artists?
Oh, yeah.
Was that all a St. Louis thing, or they were from all over, weren't they?
Oh, yeah,
around the
all
planet?
over the world, yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, all over this round planet.
Nice. Well, yeah, everybody check out Coyote. Awesome, dude.
I want to interrupt you guys one more time. Will you humor me to play a game with me to test your electronic music knowledge, the both of you?
Yes.
Here's the game. So the game is I set up a scenario, like a scene in a movie, something that you're going through. What song or what music or what band or what person or DJ would you play in order to enhance your experience? I got a handful of these. So I'll run you through the thing. You tell me what you'd listen in order to enhance it. So first,
I like this idea.
We'll warm it up this way. You talked about the Wiggles earlier. So say you're, here's a scenario for both of you guys. You're sitting in the kitchen. I don't know if you're vegetarian or not. About to make yourself a nice tasty omelet in the morning. Everything's good. The sun came up. There's no rain. You're feeling pretty good. And you just want to wiggle your ass a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. What do you play? Just for that little wiggle.
A good morning one would be Luke Vibert's Pretty Old Acid Music.
Nice.
That's a good ass wiggler.
I was going to say, Luke, the Analord, what is that? The Chicago, Detroit.
Yeah, Chicago, Detroit, Red Roof.
Yeah, that song.
Yeah.
That would be my wiggle one. I don't know if you asked me that, but that's what I was going to say.
That's for both of you guys.
Okay. Yeah.
That's weird that they were both
Luke. Yeah, he has a really good, like, just dancing. I don't know, like a good dance, a good rhythm. Like you said, I never thought of the whole
his sound
disco
is
thing.
Great. It's like it's teetering on the edge of weirdness, but not to the point where it alienates a lot of people. You know, it's not as difficult as, you know, a lot of the people that run in that crowd, I guess you'd say. Because him and Aphex and those guys are buddies. Square Pusher,
yeah, he's badass too.
All right, here's my second scenario. You have a friend that lives on the penthouse of some building, and he's rich, and he just did something to you that completely pisses you off, but he has a deck. He also has a priceless piano. You're so mad at him, and you're about to take this 2,000-pound piano and push it off of his balcony. But it takes a lot of... These are so stupid.
I like him.
You have to push it across his living room, fuck up his beautiful like tiles from somewhere in the Middle East, drag it over to his deck.
This doesn't sound like me, man.
Yeah, it does. Don't be such a
So
wook
you
about
have to
it.
play something in order to haul this piano up over his deck so that it builds up, and then it slowly falls down this building and crashes, and this priceless piano explodes. Does that... So stupid. Does that conjure up any songs you might want to listen to while you do this stupid thing? Your friend called you a wook. You're pissed.
Yeah, okay. I did just call you a wook. I'm gonna pick Venetian snares Americanized
That's a good one. Man,
with those gabber beats. I want a gabber beat if I'm gonna do some crazy shit.
How am I gonna mess up a nice piano like that though, and a nice tile floor from the sound of it? It's probably marble tile. Oh man, this is hard.
Your friend. You also found out your friend's Al-Qaeda, so you don't care. Unless you're...
Unless,
Sorry for those that are pro Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't hear about those guys that much anymore.
No, it's all ISIS now. I'm confused.
That's what I meant. All right, we'll scratch it. You're not that angry.
No, I don't.
All right.
And I don't like breaking that piano. That piano's just too nice to me.
Okay.
It was,
Ready?
yes.
Next scenario. You lock yourself out of your apartment or house. I don't know where you live. You lock yourself out of your apartment by breaking the key off in the lock, which means that you have to sit outside. Your phone, everything is outside. It starts raining. You're like frustrated and depressed, and you're just getting soaking wet trying not to get the pneumonia. You have to walk to a friend's house, which is like 5 miles away, but your headphones magically work. What do you play?
I'd pick Aphex. What is it? Crying Face or something with crying?
Crying in your face.
Crying in Your Face. It's got a good rhythm.
You're awful quick with that answer. You must have heard this question.
No, I haven't. I'm just quick on it. I'm not a wook. Stay woke. I'm not a wook.
Is there something you tend to lean towards, like when you're bummed out or when shit's not going right and you just want to kind of, sometimes...
So much of the music I listen to is melancholy anyway.
Okay.
Minor keys, just, a lot of it's, I wouldn't say depressing, but I mean...
Cheer up, emo kid.
But most of it, but a lot of it isn't in a major key and sounding too happy. And a lot of times I find it kind of cheesy anyway. I don't know. I would say.
Well, what kind of cheese do you like?
Oh man, I'd go to.
What's your favorite kind of cheese?
We're not gonna go there. I'll start talking about my cheese ventures at Strax.
I mean musically. What kind of music do you listen to while you're eating a cheese plate? It wasn't listed on here, but.
We can go there.
I like that better than thinking about emo Mike sitting in the rain with no keys. That's just, I see, if I'm eating a cheese plate, I would listen to Autechre, some of the new release. It's ESQL. You can't really pronounce the...
Autechre is crazy. You would eat
man.
cheese and listen to Autechre.
Yeah, that's made for... they have a new EP coming, I think, next May. It's music to eat cheese by.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you fucking?
Yeah, I mean,
damn.
no.
Can I answer that emo question?
Yeah.
Thanks.
You already did.
I did. Oh, I did.
Song.
My second song, I'd pick Boards of Canada.
Yeah, that's good rain music.
It's great rain music.
Yeah.
You Are a Balloon.
Oh yeah, every day is a balloon or
Something, or You Are a Balloon. That's a crazy video too. Everybody who's listening, watch that on YouTube. It's like an old.
I think that's a fan made video, the one you're talking about.
Like it's an old 1960s safety, like a kid's safety bike video.
Yeah,
and they all get hit by a car, and it just like it shows like this just crazy animation, and they fly in the air, and they're all wearing these creepy like 1960s animal masks. Remember how they'd wear that back then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fan made video, believe it or not.
Was
Yeah,
it? That's
yeah.
not original and old? Like,
I mean, that's from. I mean,
it's from the 60s, like a school video.
Yeah, yeah, and then they put it on top of a Boards in Canada song. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, that track's great. Yeah,
It's a great track.
I like the way it builds, and there's this like one synthesizer that kind of like whines, and it's really cool. It comes when it comes in,
And the drum beat, too. Like, it just all starts
Yeah,
off, like,
yeah,
nice and
yeah.
slow, and then it goes. Like, it's
kind of chugs a little bit.
It does
chugs along nicely.
I did get some vinyl. Like, I bought one of their records in Austin. I think it was that one. Like, it has, like, the two dudes, or it has two people with, like, motorcycle helmets on. They're, like, hugging or something weird. Remember that album?
Yeah, I forget what that's called. Twoism or something.
Twoism. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. All right, Sreten, what else you got?
All right. You ever been in a sensory deprivation tank?
Man, I want to.
Float 60, Cherville, Indiana.
I'm down.
Oh.
Anyways, you're going to your first float tank, or you're in a room that's painted all black. You're sitting cross-legged on the floor, about to go into a deep meditative state. Got some nice headphones on. You can't feel anything. Nobody's bothering you. The temperature's perfect. You're going in deep. What's going to help you get there?
Again, and I sound repetitious saying this again. I was joking when I said Audiker for eating cheese, but for real though, for that, I would definitely pick Audiker.
Is that where cheese takes you? When you eat cheese?
Would you better take it?
Man, some of that cheese.
I gotta eat cheese with you.
Oh man, it gets you lit. Yeah.
What song?
So, I mean, there's so many. What's good about a lot of it, at least the newer Autechre. When I say newer, I mean like newer stage, like past 10 or 11 years or more. It's very deep and difficult, and lends itself to meditativeness because you're not. If you're paying attention to that, you're not paying attention to your thoughts. You're just it's kind of just.
You're brain dancing.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wicked, mate.
It's pretty wicked. I like with Autechre, they're one of the most recent ones. It looks like a receipt, like a modern receipt. It's like yellow and black. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You mean like a QR code almost?
That's what it is. Yeah. That was a
Yeah.
good one. That was a good one.
XI.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't as busy as their older stuff. Their older stuff is just crazy.
I don't know. I mean, they went from a period. They went from sparser, using a lot of analog stuff, to real crazy, and then, or to somewhat crazy, and then real crazy, and then somewhat crazy, and I mean, they're still pretty crazy.
Are they British or German?
Yeah, they're British, Manchester boys.
I'll answer your question too with the meditation. Like, what would get me in a good meditation state would be Aphex Twin, his earliest stuff, Selected Ambient Works. I've actually meditated that before.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's great. Ambient.
Not Extol. Tha.
Tha.
Yeah, that's the cut right there.
That is the cut.
That's a good meditative one.
It is. I
Yeah.
love that track.
Had a nice psychedelic experience with that one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Cool.
I have two more scenarios, and I'll quit the torture.
There's no torch. I like
You're at your home. It's 3 a.m. You woke up, and you find out that your house is haunted. There's a poltergeist, and you're scared shitless. You're super scared. But for some reason, this poltergeist wants to connect with you musically. What song are they going to play for you that even though you're super scared, they play it, you're like maybe jittering, maybe shaking, but you're like, man, this track is cool. Or, I like this band. Maybe this poltergeist isn't so demonic.
Probably some Chicago footwork. DJ Rashad, probably.
You came out with that answer fast. Do you
Yeah.
is there
I
a
mean,
poltergeist right now?
like not in the place I'm at now, but the place I lived before had a footworking ghost.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. Joe, anything out of you? It's a very specific scenario.
Children's Limbo by Venetian Snares.
Oh, jeez. Awesome.
That song is the shit. It has, remember The Others with Nicole Kidman? It has some awesome samples from that movie
good
in
samples.
there. And it's just, it's a very haunting track. So I would show a ghost that track.
Yeah.
And hopefully
a ghost would probably like it.
a ghost would like it, and hopefully it would scare him. Intimidate that ghost. That's what we're all about. Intimidating ghosts. Yeah.
Imagine pain forever.
Forever.
Think about it.
Is that from Hellraiser?
Well, then it's like,
No, it's from
yeah,
The
you
Others.
play that to the
Oh, The
ghost.
Others.
You play that for the ghost, and it's like, oh, thanks for reminding me. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really.
And then it goes into that chaotic
It's like-
part, and it's like hell. you know?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. That'd be good.
Last scenario. All right. I know from what I can gather right now with this interview, you like electronic music on the more chill side?
No, I
No?
mean I like it all over.
Okay.
He likes he is okay. Let me answer for him. He is a electronic music snob. Don't let him fool you. All right. He is, and he likes the most chaotic, or he used to like the most chaotic electronic music ever. Like, right, Morgan? Even Morgan agrees. You like some crazy, like you always turn like, if you imagine like death
I can't
metal.
listen to super crazy all the time though.
Well, back in the day, I mean, I know we're getting older, but like imagine some crazy death metal or grind. Like for a while, that was his flavor of electronic music, like some chaotic, really crazy electronic music. Like Venetian snares is a hard pill to swallow for sure.
Yeah.
You know, like not everyone could really get into that.
No, and
most couldn't.
No, and it's not easy to dance to for, a lot of people.
Well, I did go to a Venetian snare show at Reggie's Rock House, and this guy was wearing horizontally striped overalls, black and white, and he had long hair, and he danced the entire time with his arms behind his back, like wiggling, like you said, wiggling. It was like the craziest shit ever. Like he took like a huge spot of the floor, and he just took it over. Like I don't know what kind of drugs he was on, but it's pretty intense. And then Aaron Funk, Venetian Snares, the main guy, he probably drank like 17 Tallboy Beck's Oktoberfest. Like that dude, Aaron Funk is a drinking lunatic. Like he would just pound. Like they just kept bringing him more and more beers, and he just it was intense.
Wow.
Sorry, it was a good time.
That's a lot.
I counted them kind of.
All right, then I have two. I only had two. I had one left, but now I got two. So given that you do return to some of that crazy stuff, say you suddenly got superpowers, right? Your superpower is that you can explode, like you actually explode, and you go into an open field because you're so pissed off.
Power.
You're gonna
use it more than once? Is it
yeah.
one
So
time
you have to get really angry. You get super mad and you explode, and then you regenerate. You're normal again. But you're mad one day, so you maybe go to the beach so that you don't explode any people or buildings or dogs or animals, or
Especially
bees
dogs.
or anything. Save the bees. Hashtag save the bees. So what do you listen to get you charged up? Because it takes about a minute for you to get angry enough that you.
I listen to Shitbird.
Who is Shitbird?
Shitbird is Barry Zimmerman, a good friend of mine from St. Louis, Missouri. He makes music with his Game Boy. He has a cart in his Game Boy that he could use to compose music with, and it's brutal chip thrash. You can make a Game Boy sound like a gabber machine, and then he screams on top of it, and yeah, it's good.
I remember you showing me that.
Yeah,
a while ago.
I did a track with him before.
Cool.
Yeah.
What would you listen to if somebody shot you out of a cannon?
Death Grips.
Oh man, that's a good answer.
Death Grips, Black Quarterback.
That's a good answer.
That's my last question. I'm out of here, fuckers.
There's nothing you want to listen to if you're going to get shot out of a cannon?
Igor.
Igor. Damn, yeah, Igor. Let's talk about Igor. Now, is that like a full band? Because I see that Igor...
It didn't used to be.
It is now, though?
I think so. Yeah. It sure appears to be. Like with that last album, like he released a bunch of studio videos, which were really pretty cool. It's behind the scenes.
And he mixes the classical, but with death metal and black metal.
Yeah.
And like when I said that about V-Snares...
and breakcore too.
Breakcore, yeah. Like he does a great job. Maybe even better than V-Snares.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you might be onto something there. Although V-Snares kind of did it before Igor. Although Igor's early stuff was very Baroque influenced, not as overtly orchestral.
He was in a death metal band, though, at one time, wasn't he? Before? Like a guitarist or something?
Yeah, I think so. Well, and he plays guitar.
What country is he from? I know he's from over...
I think France.
He's French? Yeah, Igor's the shit.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen him in Chicago. It just didn't.
Yeah, that just happened, too, didn't it?
February, I think.
Cool. Speaking of Chicago, though, what about Footwork? You turned me on to that a while ago.
Yeah, that's my shit.
That's your shit. Tracks, man. You turned me on to Tracks, man. I don't know. How could you break down Footwork? What's a good way of describing it? It's very glitchy, re-looped, drum and bass.
Yeah, it's repetitious. It's jerky. It's staccato. It's unpolished. Rough. Just I don't know. It's real. So I don't
And it
know.
has its own like cultural thing going on too in Chicago. Like Sreten, I don't know if you ever watched, but like on YouTube, they have footworking dance, like the dance style,
Oh yeah.
and it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean the music and the dance have kind of evolved together. It kind of came from house music and went from house to I guess that faster paced booty house, then kind of got even faster.
It looks like they're foot walking on air, right?
Yep. The music and the footwork can go together so well. The music didn't click into place for me until I saw the dancing go with it, and then it made sense immediately.
It almost has like that old school early hip hop dance off vibe. Like everyone gets together in a circle and they kind of have like a it has that.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's and that's what's going on the south side and the west side.
Is it still going on? Like, is that like a whole big like underground scene? Like, does Tracksman just show up and they get down, or is it like a venue? Like, I remember the early stuff, like the videos. It looked like it was just kind of organic, and they showed up and
yeah, and it even though that it's gained some notoriety and around the world, it's still not that big. Honestly, even in Chicago, it hasn't gotten that much bigger. There's still those small things going on.
And Tracksman, who is he? He's signed on a bigger label, right?
Yeah,
Is he with Warp?
He's on Planet Mu.
Planet Mu.
Yeah, he's on Planet Mu. A lot of the footwork gained notoriety through Planet Mu. Mike Paradinas' record label. That was really the world's first exposure to footwork was through Planet Mu, which has released not all of Venetian Snare stuff, but a good portion of Venetian Snares' stuff.
Musique is
that's his alias, I guess you'd say.
But are you saying like the whole footwork genre in the scene was that started by Tracksman and then they signed him? Or like what?
No, it's been kind of happening in Chicago for a while. But he was one of the people that were kind of there for the beginning of it, though. But as far as Planet Mu goes, they released a couple compilations that gave a little variety of what Chicago was putting out there.
Cool. And as far as locally here, there's a lady that's blowing up. I mean, I know she was like top 5 on Pitchfork's album reviews last year, and then you mentioned 2 with Rolling Stone.
Yep.
What's her name? Like her artist name?
Jaylin.
Jaylin.
Yeah, from Gary.
She's from Gary, right? Do you like what she's doing?
Yeah.
And is she with Planet Mu too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I checked it out because I kept reading the reviews. I was like, who is this? And then I saw something online. It's like, damn, she's from Gary?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Is she still locally like around too? Or?
I think so.
Well, as far as your music goes, where could the listener find it? Like where you at online?
I got a SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Sneakstep303. I'll give you a link to put on the description of the podcast.
Okay.
A YouTube channel.
What's your YouTube channel? I mean, we'll have the link, but is it just under HP Sneakstep? I mean, you could search that.
Yeah, that'd probably be your best bet.
All right, sweet. Yeah, we're gonna play a few tracks here, and I hope you all enjoy it. But definitely check out Mike HP Sneakstep. Well, hey, dude, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you for having me.
adios.
some rims for the Cadillac.
You ride clean, but your gas tank is on D. Be stepping out, ain't got no decent shoes on your feet.
That's just a meter rope, you don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, them new Jordans finna come out.
Hate to see you in the club, you poppin' with a mug. Knowing that you ran with your boy, you're nothing but a scrub.
But he was getting me, that's when you hate. Cause when I got him on you, bring your damn near face.
I show did in our face, drinking on their neck. Not full of goals, but your ass needs some Tic Tacs.
What you need some guns, breath like some thunder. What you looking at? I don't want your phone, no.
Please, whatever.
All head scallywag.
Hate to see you in the club,
To the major light bill,
you poppin' with a mug.
you bought an outfit.
Knowing that you ran with your boy, nothing but a scrub.
What you need some gold, breath like some thunder. What you looking at? I don't want your phone, no.
Please.
All head scallywag.
Hate to see you in the club,
To the major light bill,
you poppin' with a mug.
you bought an outfit.
Knowing that you ran with your boy, nothing but a scrub.
What you need some gold, breath like some thunder. What you looking at? I don't want your phone, no.
Please.
Choice is with us still. But the civilization now engendered is all humanity.
The ancient mythmakers knew we're children equally of the earth and the sky. In our tenure on this planet, we've accumulated dangerous evolutionary baggage. Part of the small planet Earth. 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 Propensities for aggression, riches, submission to leaders, hostility to outsiders, all of which puts our survival in some doubt. But we've also acquired passion for others, love for our children, a desire to learn from history and experience, and a great, soaring, passionate intelligence. The clear tools for our continued survival and prosperity. Part of the small planet Earth. 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 Choice is with us still. But the civilization now engendered is all humanity. The ancient mythmakers knew we're children equally of the earth and the sky. In our tenure on this planet, we've accumulated dangerous evolutionary baggage. Only when our visions and prospects are bound to one small part of the small planet Earth. propensities for aggression, ritual, submission to leaders, hostility to outsiders, all of which puts our survival in some doubt. And we've also acquired passion for others, love for our children, a desire to learn from history and experience, and a great, soaring, passionate intelligence. The clear tools for our continued survival and prosperity.
Sonic deadline is up. Return
As my synthesizer said, I'm a musician.
I know I